Just went through all the Justin Baldoni unsealed stuff, like 40 some exhibits. That's the number that they're in. I took some notes. It is 11 o'clock or 10:30 at night. So this is my last post before bed. I'm just going to read you my notes because I took them as I went. So first, I went to Angie's deposition, and she spoke about Baldoni was being frozen in this 5-hour meeting with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, and no one expected the nature of the meeting to be what it was, and nobody expected it to be 5 hours, and that Ryan did raise his voice at times, and that she claimed that Todd Black thought it was the harshest meeting he had ever been in, and that she too was like kind of dumbfounded by this meeting. Then we have Josh Greenstein, and he said this was text messages between him and Blake, and he looked at the contract and he said that, Blake, your cut needs to test within 7 points to be like in play to make it work for Sony, I guess. I was like, what contract? What contract are we speaking of? Where does it say this 7-point thing? What are we talking about? Also, this looks like it's happening when she's at the Eras Tour in Spain, judging by the dates on it. It was like end of May. She went to 2 nights in Madrid, and then she talks about flying back in the morning and being on a plane for 8 hours, so presumably that's what it is. This does not line up with her PGA letter, where she talks about how for 2 months from April 22nd, she spent 10 to 22 hours a day and was getting an hour and a half to 3 hours of sleep on average over those 2 months working on this movie. So I'm confused by that timeline a bit, since this was end of May, so that would have just been 1 month, and she was traveling around the world anyway. Oh, and then there were more text messages that made me confused, where Blake was saying that Justin, this was from earlier today. I read something where Blake wanted Justin to take it to PG-13 from R, and Blake convinced him to go from R to PG-13 for a broader audience. But now in these messages that I saw, she was saying that Justin's cut was too YA, like young. And that's why she really wanted to use her cut, because it was less YA, which I was confused by too. I'm like, does that mean that there was more intimacy in your cut, Blake? Really confused. And she pulls that she wants it done from her perspective, from Colleen, and from Taylor's, because they're all in agreement. So she pulls in Taylor here. So Taylor must have seen her version too, and that Colleen was all in favor, and that they needed to make a decision now, and they couldn't go any further without making a decision on the cut. There were more documents where Sony seemed frustrated with Blake's behavior, saying, all of these asks are absurd, and we've already bent over backwards, and she can ask herself, because she was trying to move around the credits. And here's where I got really confused. It was talking about the kids' credits and how she wanted them earlier. And I literally think this means like credits for her own children, because she does do like an acknowledgement at the end of her kids. But they were like, no, we're contractually obligated to put the cast like in this specific order. Like we can't renegotiate the cast contract. So it sounded like from these messages, she was literally talking about having her kids' credits go higher up than some of the cast members. Insane. Then Colleen's deposition. Why did you unfollow Justin before the premiere? Blake asked me to. Literally what she said. Blake asked me to. Oh, and then there was a weird Jenny Slate text. Well, there was more to it that was weird, because Blake was like blabbering on for like paragraphs and paragraphs. But there was a text from Jenny Slate that said, also, I texted my Insta assistant to unfollow. And that was like July of 2024. Those were some of the highlights. There's obviously much more, but this is just a quick high-level overview. So I was thinking, Jenny Slate, you have an Insta assistant? I didn't know you were like that. Interesting. Okay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I am going to bed.